So here we go. We're gonna get to it. Hawkeye trailer. How'd you feel?
You really don't want to know how I feel about that trailer. I thought the trailer was interesting. I thought that everything in the trailer was terrible. You had mentioned to me, you were like, oh, Kate Bishop being like a Hawkeye fan makes sense. I was like, yeah, it does. Like I like that aspect. I didn't expect it to be this fangirlish,
Here's
which
the thing. I
that's
don't
just
think
not Kate Bishop.
I don't think they showed us enough for us to be assuming that it's gonna be super fangirlish.
The
Like a
way
lot
that
of
she
people,
interacted when she realized it was Clint, that was way too fangirlish for
I
me
think
to be
that's
like,
okay.
that's Kate.
I think if you randomly met an Avenger, like I feel like that first meeting is gonna be like, oh my god, you're an Avenger. Like I think that's okay on the first meeting. But
But that's the thing.
if it persists, I'm
Even
like,
in
then it's like, okay,
that's
now
just
you're doing too much. Now you're doing too much.
that's the thing for me though. That's just not Kate. Even in their first meeting, and Hawkeye is her like idol in the comics. Even in their first meeting, she was generally unimpressed
Yeah, but
and
she
like almost irritated with him. Like she was like, eh.
before she met him, she was already doing her superhero thing.
Yeah, she was Hawkeye already.
Yeah, so I feel
But
like that's
even when she met most superheroes, like every time she meets a superhero for the first time, even what like before she met any Avengers, she was largely unimpressed by everybody.
I don't feel like that part of her character is just like her first meeting. Like if it persists, I'm like, okay, now you're doing too much. But on first meeting, her being excited, like, you're Hawkeye, I'm not gonna be like, okay, that changes her character significantly. Like if it happens a lot and she's consistently fangirling out, then I'm like, okay, now you're doing it too much.
I was not a fan of that. There's a lot of, and I've told you this before. We've talked about this before. I think it's a little too late for them to start making Clint comic accurate because he's got too much going on around his character at this point. But there were some moments where I was like, now if MCU had just gone a very specific route and done things a little bit differently, this would have been way cooler. Like the part where he jumped out of the building and like hit the Christmas tree, I think it was, or he fell on the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center. I was like, that's a very Clint Barton moment.
I
The
personally
problem
think
is,
that he could have his comic personality while still having the family. For me, when it comes to characters in the MCU being comic accurate, for me it goes down to their personality and how they act rather than having a family like Hawkeye does.
it's not just the family though. It's that he doesn't act like Hawkeye, and it would be a little bit too much of a 180 shift for him to suddenly start acting like Hawkeye, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is a case much like I feel like kind of like Falcon, where I felt like he acted different. In the show, he acted more like Anthony Mackie does in real life, when in the movies.
Yeah, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they just kind of
But the reason I
gave
feel like,
Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan superhero suits and were like, "No, play."
yeah,
Like that's
the reason
basically what they did.
the reason I feel like it's similar to that is because we don't see enough of Hawkeye in the movies to really have the best like view of his personality. I feel like we see his personality like shifts drastically every single time we see him. So I feel like,
I feel like I would agree with that if not for Age of Ultron. I feel like Age of Ultron kind of cemented it for me.
yeah, but even after that, I feel like it still changed slightly every single time we saw him. So I feel like there's still room for them to shift him towards comic Hawkeye, especially since, like, unlike like people that aren't like me and you, the average MCU enjoyer are kind of just they're not
The average MCU enjoyer.
they aren't really focusing on Hawkeye, and a lot of them think Hawkeye sucks. So this movie is a opportunity for them to make Hawkeye much more interesting and have people actually like him and introduce a new Hawkeye.
I don't know. We'll see how this goes. I still don't think I'm gonna like it. I
You
really
think
don't. If they add Vincent D'Onofrio, I might be thinking a little differently. But
Yeah, that's been a rumor. I'm excited for that if that happens.
that's been a big rumor. That's the only thing I'm
But
really like.
for people who don't know, that's the person who played Kingpin in the Daredevil show on Netflix. Um, I hope he shows up. What was I gonna
I
say?
do too.
This is my most anticipated Marvel show, honestly. It has been since the beginning, since they announced all of the shows. It's my most anticipated. I don't remember when is Miss Marvel supposed to come out this year.
I think so.
I wouldn't be surprised if it got pushed back.
I could have sworn it was supposed to come out. It might not. I could have sworn though. Like now that you're saying that, it's definitely not something I could have sworn.
They said it was, but I don't think it is. I think it might get pushed back. So have you seen Doom Patrol?
No.
Okay,
you keep asking this like
so
once every like 3 weeks. I still have not seen Doom Patrol.
Okay, so we won't talk about it because we're approaching that 30-minute mark. And I don't want to drag things out too long.